Filipino farmers continue to struggle as they face many problems, from expensive fertilizer to extreme weather conditions. They need all the help they can get, and one of the groups that do so are Rural Rising Philippines. They help farmers bring their produce to consumers by removing the middlemen. This enables the public to buy agri-products at a fair price. Let's find out more about the group. We'll be speaking with the founders of Rural Rising PH, Ace and Andie Estrada. Good morning, Ace and Andie.
Good morning,
Welcome
Robert.
to My Milyonaryo. Thank you for gracing us this morning and give us the insights and inspiration with what you are doing. But before we get started about talking about Rural Rising Philippines, let our viewers get to know a little bit more about you. What were you doing before you set up Rural Rising Philippines?
Well, Rural Rising, before we started Rural Rising, we were actually leading the conversations in Baguio City for e-commerce, for coding boot camps, and for teaching English as a second language to foreign students. We owned a call center in Baguio City, and we had a co-working space where we were nurturing entrepreneurs to learn how to set up their business and to make it successful through collisions and conversations about business.
So from education, now we move into not farming, but helping farmers. Now, how did that go about? What was the defining moment that led you to start Rural Rising Philippines? Was it a personal experience or something that you saw happening in the farming sector?
Yes, so we live in Baguio City. It was the height of the pandemic, April 2020. And we saw vegetables being thrown away in the Baguio City public market. It turns out that farmers were not able to sell their produce in the market, and buyers from Manila were not able to go up to Baguio City to buy produce. We took a picture of vegetables being thrown away or given away, and we posted it on social media. And suddenly, people from Manila said, let's help the farmers together. If we can bring the produce down from Baguio City to Manila, we will buy it. So we begged and borrowed the truck from the Benguet provincial government. It's a red plate truck. I was able to penetrate the checkpoints leading to Metro Manila, and within 30 minutes we were able to sell 3 tons. And then we started doing it again and again, because something amazing happened with our first rescue buy, that's what we called it. Farmers started calling us and said, can you help us? Can you bring our produce to Metro Manila too? And we did it with more frequency, and before we knew it, we were able to move 20 tons of produce within the first month.
So this was something you didn't really think about. It happened by accident.
Yes, this is our accidental advocacy.
Yes, we didn't know. I mean, during the pandemic, we were stuck in the house and doing nothing. You could probably tell somebody to just count their pebbles on the floor and they'll do it.
Yes.
You know, and then there was this thing, and it was not difficult. It was something that, okay, we need vegetables. We got vegetables. We brought it down, and it was not difficult. But then we saw there was a need and there was possibility and anyone could help. We just saw that it was possible for anyone to participate.
And during the time,
yes.
during the time of pandemic, people were afraid. There was a real issue with the scarcity and the prices of produce in Metro Manila. So people were willing to help during a time when they were stuck at home. We became the conduit for their kindness and their intention to help the farmers.
But being educators in the beginning, it's a little bit of a far move. Why this pivot, this accidental advocacy? What determined, what were you thinking at that time and saying, I think this is something that actually we could do?
It was not really like okay, you know what, I like doing it. Because we thought it was going to be a short-term interim thing before we could all go back to our normal lives. But that normalcy didn't happen in a few months. It took years. And then we were already here in Manila. We were able to set up and also made the group bigger. So we came to a point that, you know what, it could be viable. And it always felt good to be able to help. I mean, it's not about being cliché about it, but really, every day we feel blessed to be able to do it.
Now, when you look at social entrepreneurship, it's quite a niche part of the entrepreneurial atmosphere. Now, when we say entrepreneurs, many chase profit.
Yes.
Now, but you chose advocacy. Now, what made you put now the farmers in the middle as part of your focus now in this new venture of yours?
Well, at the beginning, that's true. We put the farmers at the heart, and almost 80% of what we do is, are we able to help the farmer? Are we able to move the produce? And the business side, which should be about social entrepreneurship, is secondary. And how
I guess
have
it's
you-
like a big picture. It's like a big picture. What do you call that? Approach. Wherein we win some, lose some every day. So, for example, we have stores in Metro Manila where we sell all vegetables at 100 pesos, 99 pesos per kilo, and we let the farmers help each other. So, with this social entrepreneurship, we let the future take care of it and let people help the way they can.
Now, if you could describe the heart of Rural Rising in one sentence, now what would that be?
I would say a platform for helping.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we witness a lot of goodness in people. I mean, we see a lot of bad news in on TV, right?
Yes.
But we are able to witness this. People are willing to help. People needing help, and we're just so lucky to be able to connect those two,
Yeah,
two
we are the
together.
conduit for the goodness of people who want to help in different ways. We're not just helping the farmers, we're also helping animal rescue shelters, a group with children with Down syndrome, and hungry communities. No vegetable goes to waste, and all the vegetables are able to do good in one way or another.
So it really grew from that accidental advocacy. Now,
Yes.
from that humble beginnings of just helping out and not really thinking of it as a social entrepreneurship venture. Now, what are the most surprising or heartbreaking stories you've heard directly from the farmers that you've helped?
Oh, so many. We're actually the purveyor or the merchant of stories. So part of the selling the vegetables is to tell people where we get them, who we get them from. We write about their stories, their angst, their anger, their fears, their hopes. And all of these stories move people to a call to action. There are many success stories and many sad stories. Yesterday, we tried to help a farmer with 15,000 tons of saba. And because we have a limited capacity to buy, we're only able to buy 2,000 kilos. This morning, they sent us videos of those 10,000 kilos of saba being thrown away.
A lot of wastage, no?
The
A lot
food
of
waste.
Now, looking at that, how bad is the issue of crop rejection and waste in the Philippines? And with Rural Rising Philippines, how do you now address that gap?
We're just scratching the surface, to be honest.
Yes.
But we're doing what we can. So we wish we were bigger. Right now we only have about 1,000 or 2,000 active buyers month in, month out. We have a membership base of 50,000 on the group and 300,000 followers on our social media pages. But if we're thinking that if this small force of good can become or be multiplied by 1 million, I think we would be a very strong buying block that could somehow dictate the behavior in the market and tell everybody, like, we gotta respect the prices of the farmers. They have a production cost.
Are you getting any help from any sector, or this is purely right now just both of you?
It's purely both of us
Sadly,
and our
sadly,
children.
yes, and
Yeah,
the members
members,
behind us.
yes.
We wish we could get more help, but
Yes.
at this point, I think we would need more people to be aware of what we do and why we do it and how. And we're hopeful that it could
And
get
to be
bigger.
more inspired with what we're doing, because if ordinary people like us are able to do this in our own way, what more people with more influence, more wealth, more power to do it, then perhaps it could be incremental and it could be able to help more farmers nationwide beyond the farmers we're helping in Luzon.
So it's actually grown. How many farmers are you helping right now?
We're
Currently?
now up to 4,000, 4,500 farmers direct, and we've impacted about 68,000 families. Like Andy said, we're scratching the surface.
How do you handle? I guess it's a logistics nightmare,
Yes.
no? How do you handle that Do they come to you or do you go to them?
Well, both ways. We go to them when we're needed to go there, but
Yes.
because we need to also take care of the daily things of marketing, sometimes they go to us. And so they connect to us through our Facebook pages, or sometimes our numbers are posted online. So we get a lot of calls and texts and photos and videos, and you just can't not move.
How do you manage that?
And the
How do you
countryside.
balance the time and in doing that on a daily basis?
Yeah, that's a good question. We live with the vegetable. That's how we manage. We wake up with it.
Yes.
We sleep sorting
Yes.
and cleaning.
It's always a rescue effort or an emergency case. In the countryside, they say, iparuri mo na yan, or call Ruri. And this is what the farmers say, and they call us. And automatically, we would ask for details and pictures and videos. And this is the same videos we post online. So people can see where to go, who we're helping. And we come back to the farmer and say, kaya namin kunin yan. Or, pwede namin balikan yan. So it's really all about the group pushing us to help the farmers. And we are the conduit for that.
And for those, for the benefit of those who are watching right now, what are the usual misconceptions do urban Filipinos have about the farmers and agriculture that you wish more people understood today?
That's a great question.
Well, not really about the farming itself, but I think, the farms during their harvest, they get everything. They do not pick the beautiful ones only or the good size only. 40% of the harvest are really what they call the rejects, or are not
RR.
We call it RR,
Yes.
and over as a rural rising.
Yes.
So we got to educate everyone, and we feel that we should also appreciate they're all coming from the same plant, and they taste the same. They're just not pretty, but they're healthy. So they're local. They're made by they're grown by our farmers.
So we realized that 30% of the harvest is actually our rejects. So what we do is we pay for the rejects for the same price we pay for the beautiful part of the crop. And in that way, we're able to give the farmers more income. These are products would otherwise be rejected or thrown away, and now there's value for the farmers to sell them to us. It is our job now to Rural Rising to educate our members to say, hey, RR is good, RR is healthy, RR is helping the farmers.
We're getting a lot of new information, a lot of insights, a lot of education, but we're just getting started. We'll just take a short break. Trade Talks, My Milyonaryo. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Trade Talks. We continue our discussion with the founders of Rural Rising Philippines, Ace and Andie Estrada. Okay, let's talk about a little bit about the business model. But before that, I wanted to ask, how did you come up? We were talking about that before the show. How did you come up with the name Rural Rising Philippines?
Okay, well, he always lets me answer that question because I did coin the name. During the pandemic, I just realized that everything that we need to survive is coming from the rural areas. The food, the water, the forest, and but sadly, it's the rural areas that really get least prioritized. And when we talk about going to the rural areas, we simply talk about or think about aid, education, as if they needed it. I mean, they do need it, but what we know, they know. It's the same thing. So during that time, I felt like it was the safest place, right? The pandemic. We go to the rural areas, fresh air, open spaces. And so it's time for them to rise and prove that they have the ability to help. Not
Yes, because
just
we always talk about food security.
Yes.
That's one of the important things that we need. So is that also part of why you started this when you saw that accidental advocacy at the beginning, that problem, and when you saw that problem, hey, it's something that everybody needs to know.
Yes,
Yes.
and during that time, even if you had money, I don't think you could easily buy food. If the rural areas stop producing, we all die. So I think it's really, it's their time to prove and give back the dignity and respect that they deserve.
You also coined the term rescue buying. Now,
Yes.
Yes.
take us through the process of that business model, the process of how you get in contact with the farmers, how are you helping them, that process from start to finish.
Yeah, so when the farmers ask for help, they say, "Pa-rescue nyo kami," or "Can you rescue us?" And what we do is we go out there and buy the produce from them after we have collected money from our members. Our formula is very simple. Number one, we take the farm gate price, which is actually the cost to grow a single crop, plus 20%. We also look at how much the middleman pay the farmers. And we usually double that price, which approximates the cost to grow anyway, plus the 20%. And we pay that to our farmers in cash upfront with a little bonus sometimes. We bring that produce to Metro Manila and we sell it at half the price of Balintawak or Divisoria, which means we're saving the farmers. We're also creating savings for consumers. We're cutting away the many, many layers of middlemen in between. And this is the whole concept of rescue buying.
How do you now manage? I can just imagine the logistics nightmare because we have farmers from all over the country and the provinces that may seek your help. Now, how do you now balance the logistics of tons of produce? Do you get a lot of help also? And it must be costly. And how is it sustainable?
The logistics cost is really the bulk of the expense, considering our country is very wide, and well, you know, the toll fees and the gasoline and the diesel
And no
all
economies of scale.
and no economies of scale because
Yes.
we can only load 3 to 4 tons of vegetables in a truck. We cannot have an 18-wheeler and bringing 10 tons because we also need to think about storage and handling and all these things because we're working within the 24-hour window that a vegetable can stay fresh. We don't have a big facility. We're doing it with our own hands. So we all have to consider that we can only do this much.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a nightmare. And if there's a even stronger word for that, then
Yes.
that will be it.
Because the biggest irony is that we do all we can to save produce from the countryside, to bring it to Metro Manila. And if they rot in our hands, that would be the biggest injustice to the produce and to the farmers.
Now, of course, being a social entrepreneur, you also have to be sustainable. But of course, you can't also be losing money. Now, how do you balance being a social entrepreneur and that sustainability and keep afloat?
Yes. Some of our members buy to give. That's one of the ways that help us. They would buy, half of the produce are actually being bought by members, not because they want the produce from themselves. They cannot have 10 kilos of this and 10 kilos of that all the time. They would say, I'd like to donate this to send it forward. And that helps us with staying afloat. We also have, it's my birth, sometimes they have birthdays, yes?
Some members have their birthdays and anniversaries or sometimes a company gathering, and they tell us, okay, instead of us buying this kind of, sometimes weddings we're being called to be a part of their weddings, and instead of giving trinkets, they make us have a vegetable buffet, and that helps. Those are the things that are not rescued. Definitely we buy or we get produce that are of higher value because it has to be that for a
You're
party
mentioning
level.
also that you're also thinking out of the box. How else can we sell the produce? But of course, you can't just store them for a long time.
Yes.
You were mentioning you were going online. You were doing mystery boxes. Take us through just a quick view of what are the other things that you're doing to at least get your produce to as many people as possible.
Yeah, we do something called Box All You Can. It's gamified helping. We put about 30 tons of produce in a central space in a mall, and then we line up people with empty boxes. And when we count down to 3, 2, 1, they go run into the space and load as much vegetables as they can. It's a game. There's music. There's shouting. There's people violently working to get vegetables. And then we say, time's up. They have to exit, finish or not finish. There's so much fun, and they help. So it's called Box All You Can. We can do it in companies. We can do it in the malls. The excess vegetables go to the dog shelters the centers that rescue dogs, and this also helps. So
And we think of many ways. And sometimes we have avocados and broccoli. Then he
Yeah.
comes up with a portmanteau
Yeah.
of combinations because one vegetable is more expensive.
Yeah.
It helps the low price vegetable. So,
So I
the thing about us is we're a family, and
Yeah.
so we're able to be flexible and think of something.
You mentioned you started something like a subscription model, parang
Yes.
mystery box.
A mystery
Na
box,
You
yes.
send something, but they don't know what's inside, what kind of
Yes.
vegetables.
Yes.
How does that work?
the box contains the opportunity to help. So they pay $4.99 every month for a box that contains whatever we can put in there. What vegetables we're
Being
helping.
rescued.
Magugulat na lang sila.
Magugulat na lang
Yes,
sila. Like mystery. Sometimes we put an avocado. That's avocado, broccoli, tomato. And we give it a funny name and people like it. So you see, we have to make the helping fun and to keep the people engaged because at the end of the day, Robert, this is them donating without a donor's fatigue. Helping the farmer should not be all about donating, but it should also be a fun experience, a fun helping experience.
Yeah.
Now let's look at the farmers that you've helped. Give us at least maybe one inspiring story that one farmer you've helped that they've really become successful.
Marami.
We have a lot of success and happy stories, but I don't think that they literally tell us this is what we got from rural rising. Some of them have sent us, they've built their houses, they've sent their kids to school, and
That's very-
or even paid their debts,
Yeah.
and so there's so many of them.
It's really truly inspiring, and thank you. A lot of our farmers are being helped, and also us getting cheaper vegetables. Thank you,
Yes.
and we wish you good luck in your endeavors in the next season. And we don't have much time today, but hope we can invite you again next time and talk about a little bit more about what's next for Rural Rising Philippines. Thank you very much, Ace and Andy, for joining us. And that's the show today. Catch us again on Trade Talks My Milyonaryo for inspiring stories of entrepreneurs and innovators and their secrets to their success. I'm Robert Tan. Keep it here on the Bilyonaryo News Channel.